Thank you for joining me, and welcome to the Northern BC Gamer. My name is Darren, and I'm a tabletop role playing and miniature gamer based in northern British Columbia. This is the fourth episode of the Northern BC Gamer. We're a podcast that revolves around gaming, be it tabletop RPGs or miniature games. So if these are topics that interest you, please give the channel a follow, the video a like, and feel free to drop your own answers to the questions I ask my guest in the comments below. I'd love to hear your answers. Tonight, I'm joined by my guest and old friend Jason for a chat about his gaming experiences, the different games he's played over the years, and what draws him to a game. So let's get started. Jason, thanks for joining me, taking time out of your busy schedule. I watch your posts, like I was saying beforehand, come across my Facebook on a regular basis, and you are a busy man between family and work. How is life with you these days?
Yeah, well, you nailed it. Definitely busy. You know, job and two boys, and as much gaming as I possibly can get in is is kind of my lifestyle right now, which is good.
Good.
Yeah, it's good.
It's important to get the playtime in.
Yes,
Uh,
100%.
do your kids play?
Yeah, Jackson, my oldest son, he's just turned 14 in January there. He is a pretty avid gamer, and Sawyer, my youngest son, is much more of a video game player than an RPG player. But we'll get him there. We'll get him there.
It takes
He's
time. It takes time. They go through a stage.
Yeah, they do. Jackson was the same. Jackson was the same way, like lots of video games, and then he's starting to come back around. And I think it's the social aspect of sitting in front of a bunch of people at a table
Yep.
or a screen like with a virtual tabletop and playing. And he likes the interaction and the
That
unpredictability of other people's characters doing stuff. And
that
yeah, he
and
has a lot of
there's
fun.
there's no winning and losing involved. That's
That's true. Yep.
I remember when I was first teaching my kids to play when they were younger. It was their favorite game in the world because they didn't have to worry about winning or losing. It was just let's go and have some fun.
Hmm.
It was it was a nice thing to see when my kids were that age and starting to game.
Yeah.
So when did you start playing RPGs? I guess would be the big question. I'm not sure what else you play, but we'll get to that shortly.
Yeah. So yeah, like I can remember way back with my cousins when I was like maybe 5 or 6 playing Dungeons and Dragons in the garage. And, I wasn't really paying too much attention to what was going on at that point. So I remember fighting orcs or goblins or something like that and just
Getting to
having
roll the cool
a fun,
dice.
yeah, throwing dice. And then my stepbrother introduced me to Mountain of Madness for Dungeons and Dragons way
Okay.
back. And that would have been like, well, I'd have been in grade 3 or 4. So we had a bit of a run at that. And then, it kind of slipped off my radar for a few years. And then I met a guy in grade 8 at College Heights in Prince George named Sean Fredine. And
Okay.
he introduced me to Riffs.
Okay.
That was kind of my real like dive into role playing. And then I met the crew there at College Heights. You guys are at sorry, at the
Sandsea.
College of New Caledonia.
Yeah.
You guys were doing a gaming group or something like that, and I
Yeah.
rolled in there, and then like
I
the
was trying
world
to
opened
remember
up
exactly
basically.
how we met you, but I figured that was probably what it was.
Yeah, yeah. It was Sean introduced me to you and Dan
Okay. Yeah.
Seathouse, and
Yeah. I remember Sean now.
yeah, and Mike and
Yeah.
Sam DeGraff and
Yeah.
Philip.
All the guys.
Yeah, yeah. So I don't know, we played. Oh, and Wyatt. Yeah,
Yeah.
we played Riffs and
Riffs and Rollmaster and
Rollmaster, and I think that was really kind of the two that we stuck with for
I think so.
quite some
At
time.
that
A
point in
couple,
time.
yeah, like all the way from like grade 8 to grade 12 for me, anyways. And then after I got out of high school, I kind of left Prince George and ended up ended up down in the
down in the
southeast.
Okanagas.
Yeah, in the Kootenays actually is
Goodness.
where I'm at now. And I ran into a gaming crew here, and they were doing live action role playing for Vampire the Masquerade, so I jumped on that for a bit, and
Neat.
then influenced them into playing some Rollmaster and
Nice.
Pathfinder, and we played a little bit of Harp, or yeah, Harp, high adventure role playing from Iron
Okay.
Crown Enterprises,
Yep.
and a little bit of Harn Master, and we touched a bunch of different things. Not so much Dungeons and Dragons, but we did get pretty heavy into Pathfinder, and
It's
um,
Pathfinder is just
yeah,
Dungeons and Dragons with the
it's the
serial numbers
same.
filed off. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Yep.
Yeah, so we did that, and then you get busy and you don't have a lot of time to do that kind of stuff. So I found there was quite a stretch there where I didn't touch gaming
Mhm.
for
Yep.
a few probably 15 years or so, and then I got back into it when I had friends who had moved away to Alberta, and we didn't really stay in touch too much. But then they moved back to the Kootenays, and when they got
Oh,
back, we kind of dived into gaming again. So
right on.
yeah,
Nice.
lots of played lots of games, and yep, it's
Oh,
a good hobby.
I think it's a great hobby.
Hmm.
It's creativity and it's just entirely social.
Yes.
There's
Yep.
no real competition involved. It's just let's get together with your buddies, tell some stories, and have some fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Throw the math rocks around and beat up some goblins and orcs and you know.
Occasionally yell at them because they're not helping you out at
Oh
all.
well, yeah, they never help you out at all. Oh my God, I play the X-wing tabletop miniature game, and boy, they don't help you out at all. There's
Hmm.
geez. All right, so yeah, you hit the nail on the head. We met you at CNC. I was going to say when we first met you was across a gaming table at the college.
Yep. Yep.
Playing Rollmaster, and
Yes.
you are right. And Riffs. I couldn't remember whether you played Riffs with us or not, but yeah, it was Mike's game. So
Yep.
there we go. Um, so what other games have you played since then, other than live action Vampire?
Uh, yeah. So right now, my game of choice uh is Savage Worlds. I've been I've been really over the last probably I don't know probably 6 years. So Savage Worlds is done by Pinnacle Entertainment, and they got an IP grant from Palladium to do Savage Rifts.
Oh, neat.
So
Okay.
so they developed a rule set for Savage Rifts. They're taking a lot of the story and the fluff and interpreting that into the Savage Worlds role playing game. And their mantra is fast, furious, and fun.
Nice.
It's very
That's fitting for
uh,
Rifts.
yeah. I wouldn't say that it's rules light by any means, but it's pretty
Ah,
close.
that's all right. I work
And
from
from a GM perspective, the prep that's where I kind of got away from Pathfinder because I didn't really have a lot of time to prep as a GM,
Mm,
and Savage Worlds made it way easier for me to do that. So I got to GM. I didn't have to do a lot of prep. Uh, it was kind of a win-win, and it was Rifts, which has always had this like
it's
I
it's
don't
a
know.
it's a neat setting and it's a
Oh, it's so good.
beautiful
Yeah,
world. It's
yeah.
gorgeous to look at. I've used Rift imagery and stuff as
Mhm.
inspiration in other games.
Yeah,
It's just unfortunate that Palladium system is the Palladium system,
yeah,
but
yeah,
we
yeah,
digress.
yeah, for
I,
sure.
I haven't actually played Savage Worlds. I'll have to take a look at it one of these days.
Yeah, I find it I find it very pulpy. It's an action orientated system. It's very yeah, it's very I find it very what's the word I'm looking for here? It's yeah, pulpy. Pulp is probably the best way to describe it. Like,
Okay.
like hmm, I don't really have like Conan the Barbarian or Doc Savage or
Okay.
you're
Yep.
playing you're playing the protagonist of the story, and it's kind of it kind of pushes the idea of the movie trope where the good guys are really like elevated and the bad guys are really elevated and everybody in the background is kind of like extras and are just there to kind
They're
of
just noise.
propel propel the story along. And you
Okay.
can be John McClane walking across the glass one moment and then beating up all the bad guys the next moment without taking too much uh, slow down there. So it's
I
good.
can
we
respect that.
run we run we run a couple Rifts games. We run a Pathfinder game because they got a hold of first edition Pathfinder IP. So we did a Savage Worlds Pathfinder
Yep. Yep.
crossover kind of deal.
That's right. I remember that.
And then I'm running like an old, I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but probably Rapan Athak, which is kind of like
I
old um, Judges Guild or like
yeah.
Necromancer Games. Well, sorry, it's Frog God Games that owns the IP
Yeah,
for it,
yeah,
but
now, but
they
it's
brought it
it
up.
was from back in the day. Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, all
I
that Judges
recognize
Guild
the name.
and Necromancer Games stuff. So we're running those right now, and I've always had a I've always had a soft spot in my heart for homebrew too. So I have a homebrew world that I've been
Nice.
tinkering with, and it's gone through a bunch of different ages and
Yeah,
a bunch
yeah.
of different
I've got
iterations. And
something similar.
yeah, and you know, same players running in there for like 20 years with different characters and the stories. And yeah, and I really enjoy that kind of thing. And then of course those cool NPCs that I've spent all that time developing end up making cameos
Yeah,
in
you
other
get to use them
games. And
again.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
so I really, I don't have a lot of time to play video games all that much, so I just dabble a little bit here and there and play some basically indie quick games that I can pick up and play for 15 minutes and then sit
yeah,
down and go and do something else.
yeah.
Uh, I didn't really get too much into the MMO scene with like Warcraft or
I
uh,
got into Warcraft for about probably 4 years, and then I
yeah.
just got so tired of the repetitiveness of it that I just stopped. It just
Hmm.
held no interest to me ever again.
Yeah, so it's really, I like I like RPGs. They're very I like the social aspect probably more than like spending time poring over rules or any of that kind of
Yep.
stuff. I
Yeah,
like to have my friends over. We,
for me it's about
build some stories together.
the fun you're having with your friends. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's really my main focus with that is just the social aspect of it. And and meet new people too. Like when COVID came around, kind of really stuck some thumbtacks in our ability to hang
Right?
out together.
Yeah, and it forced us online. Did the
Yeah.
same thing. It did the same thing with our group, and that the game that we were playing, it was a D&D 5e game. We finished that up within the first month because we were almost done anyway.
Hmm.
Um, so I started running some Starfinders for the guys. And, that group slowly whittled down a little bit. So you put the ad out on the internet, you meet a couple of people through there, and you do it again because that was successful. And,
Hmm.
and now 2/3 of my players don't live in Prince George.
Yeah.
One other one lives in BC, he's down on the island, but the rest
Yeah.
of them are down in the States,
Yeah.
and that's 3 or 4 people. So, it's been interesting.
Hmm.
Um, it did the same thing when with X-Wing, the X-Wing community I'm in, because it's a competitive miniature game. I have gone from playing with my son at the kitchen table to discovering there was a group in town, so we started playing with a group in town. Um, and then the pandemic hit, so I started playing online, and now I know people all over the world that play
Hmm.
X-Wing. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, I know him. Yeah, no, he's a great guy.
Yeah.
It was really neat to in as much as it was a crappy period of time,
Hmm.
it it brought the gaming community closer together.
Yeah, it did.
worldwide,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
in huge, huge ways. I have trouble putting together a group to play in town, but I could run Starfinder probably 5 days a week if I wanted to online with people, and it wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Same with us. Like we had our tight little crew here in the Kootenays, and they live like a couple houses down from me. We play quite a bit, but COVID online, I saw a few advertisements for people looking for players, and I've been a GM forever, and getting to play. I like the
never
GMing side of it for
happens.
sure. Don't get me wrong, but getting to play is like, yeah, like let's
it's
go.
it's magic, right?
Oh, it is. And so a fellow named Patrick put a advertisement out on a Facebook page that I belong to, and turns out they're out of Chicago. And then
Oh yeah.
all of a sudden, I'm gaming with like 4 or 5 people that he knows from his time, and we're all online. And it's just it's it's awesome. And I met a couple guys out of this town next to me, and uh, they come to my house and play it occasionally, but then one of them moved away to Airdrie in Alberta, and
Okay. Yeah.
we play online, play Stars Without Number, uh,
Okay.
really crunchy sci-fi game, which
Yeah.
I freaking love, and I get to be a player in that, which is just like, yeah, like now I get to like do all the cool stuff that I see all my players doing here. It's just great. It's
I
just great.
I haven't played since that D&D game right before the pandemic. And
Mm,
I hadn't played for 2 or 3 years before that. So when my friend said, "Hey, everybody I know, I discovered Dungeons and Dragons. I want to run games. Will you come play with me?" I was the happiest man alive.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was the most fun I'd had at a gaming table in ages.
yeah, for sure.
Playing in a game with somebody who had never touched the game before in his life.
Hmm.
Um, it was fun. He'd played miniature games and stuff. Giles, I did an interview with him a couple episodes back, um, and it was a blast. I know what you mean. The joy of playing is because I GM so much. I get to play so seldom,
Hmm.
and it's been a long time since I've had a good GM, which makes a big difference too.
Yes.
It's been many years,
Hmm.
but I kill the time by playing myself, so or GMing myself, and my players appreciate it. So that's what
Yeah.
keeps me coming back. So what kind of things draw you to a game? What makes you pick up something and go, I like this. I got to play this. I got to GM this. What really what really does it for you when it comes to a game?
Yeah, like, hmm, I think that gaming, well, GMing, it's giving players a challenge and the ability to shine. Um, and 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 I also really enjoy, and it might be an ego thing, but I'm okay with that. I enjoy 5 weeks after the game, or like 3 months after the game. They're like, "Hey, remember that moment when
Yep.
this happened?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I remember that. It was epic."
Yep.
And I like that. Like I like that when people are able to keep those memories of those situations that are running, or whatever's going on, and bring it up later, further down the line. And
Yep.
um, I I enjoy I enjoy running games for people who like to interact. I sometimes have a hard time with people who just kind of sit there and like not, and I try hard,
I'll
and
just roll the
maybe
dice.
I don't, or I'm just doing this from my perspective. But it really sometimes it's difficult if you're not gonna, we're gonna sit down and we're gonna have a game, and if you're on your phone or, that kind of draw away from the table is rough for
It
me. But
it can be,
I
yeah.
really like that story building. I like people to be enthused about their characters and sit down at the table and we're ready to go and we're going to give her and let's make some memories and do some crazy stuff and tell some wild out of the park uh, out of the park stories.
I like that involvement from my players as well.
Yeah.
It it I mean, if you're a player and you're watching or you're listening, um, it's what does it for us. It's what
Hmm.
gets us going. Like I've gone into sessions where I've been wiped out from a long day at work and kind of tired, not really sure if I wanted to game or not that night, but the guys are coming over. So I guess I got a GM. So I'll sit down in the chair, and 5 minutes later, I'm standing up and I'm excited and I'm happy because my players are here. They're invested in the game. And okay, this is what was going on last time. Well, we got to deal with this. And it's that joy of that excitement of, yeah, these guys care about the story that you're telling for them.
Hmm.
It makes the GM's day that much better when the players are obviously involved, obviously invested. Absolutely.
Yep.
That's uh, that's probably one of the big things for me. I'm one of those people who loves constant positive reinforcement.
Nice.
I won't say it's anything other than that. And that's basically my fourth question is are you a forever GM? But you get the joy of playing more often than I do. It
Yeah,
sounds like.
so I think I was always kind of afraid of like getting getting out from behind the GM screen because I didn't want to like, yeah, maybe judge people too harshly when they're running themselves, and that's
Mm.
kind of a like I don't know. I'm not trying to say that I'm the
It's a
cream of the
carryover.
crop GM or anything.
It's a carryover from professionalism too. Your
Yeah,
professional
yeah.
life.
So it just
I'm
it
like that. I'm like that professionally.
yeah, it scares me a little bit. So and and I am pretty shy when it comes to new people too. So it takes me like
I can appreciate
two
that.
or three sessions to get into the character and figure out how other people are playing, and maybe that comes across as not being invested as much
Yeah,
as,
yeah, and
as
it's gauging your comfort level and
yeah,
figuring
for
out
sure.
exactly
But
when you can engage with things.
I definitely in the last couple years have kind of tried to get away from that, like wanting to just be the GM and run the story and be maybe bullheaded a little bit and uh and not let anybody else run. But it's getting better. So yeah, like I have the Stars Without Number game that I play in, and we play a fifth edition D&D game, uh 5e, that I am playing Paladin in, and I play a like a farm boy street thug in a Savage Worlds like Monster of the Week game.
Nice.
Um, yeah, just I like to be a player because I don't have as much responsibility as running as a GM,
That's
right? And
fair. That's
yeah,
absolutely fair.
yeah, you don't
I
have
spend a
to.
lot of time just reading and thinking about my game, let alone writing out down stats.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
I've been fortunate enough to be a lazy GM the last 3 or 4 years because my players largely want to run through some of the adventure paths.
nice.
So my preparation is, I won't say minimal, but it's not as detailed. I don't have to look
Yeah,
at creature stats. Fortunately, Starfinder makes it easy. You choose your challenge rating for the creature. These are the stats for it. Give it a couple special abilities. Have a nice day.
yeah,
You know, and that's all there is to it. It's very simple and straightforward. If I don't want to use something straight out of the book, um, but you do mostly home. You've largely all just kind of done homebrew, haven't you?
yeah. For like
I did for years.
yeah, for years, homebrew, but then, you get a family, you start picking up some responsibility and you have a job and you don't have as much time as you would like
Yep.
to focus on gaming. And I'm not saying that it's a negative to have a family that gets in the way of gaming. I just want to make sure that that's clear.
Oh no,
But
absolutely.
but it yeah, it does definitely as I've gotten older, I've found that my ability to homebrew stuff and keep the story going takes a lot more prep than it would to run an adventure. So, we're running Rise of the Rune Lords from
Okay.
first edition Pathfinder,
Nice.
which is a great game, and then
Mm.
Repanakthuk is like a 700-page, 15
15
level
level dungeon, mega dungeon.
mega dungeon. So like the prep on that is very minimal.
That's all right.
And
That's all right. We're getting old. We'll leave the prep to the young kids.
yeah, yeah,
No, that's all right.
yeah.
I do a little mix of both. I do have my D&D games homebrew, but I run that game once a month,
Mhm.
and I'll do my prep work for it a few days in advance because we only played for like 2.5, 3 hours at best. So I
Yeah,
don't have to have that much prepped.
no,
But still,
but
even
yeah,
that, looking at it's like, oh man, that's work. I got to do stuff. I got to write things down.
I always found homebrew prep to be pretty cathartic too.
Hmm.
You kind of pour over things, and you're building your world, and you're building some plots in there, and some stuff that's happened in a few ages, and like player interaction and
Honestly,
all of that.
most prep is just thinking.
Yeah,
Honestly, there's very little writing down.
yeah,
Even when you have to write stuff down, it's not that much. It's all thinking about reactions and history and what's coming next. And ooh, this would be neat. And oh, I hadn't looked at that creature before. That looks really cool.
yeah.
When you're going through a monster book, that's one of the things I used to do. One of my methods of prepping was flip through the book till you find a really neat picture and see if you can fit that into an adventure for the guys. Oh, that one's neat. Let's do that. Um, there's many different ways to prep, but
Hmm.
that was one of my favorites back when I ran second edition D&D, even third edition sometimes. Um, and we've already answered the last question, which was what are you playing these days, which is a little bit of everything.
Hmm.
I'm jealous. You're playing.
Yeah,
I don't get to play. I occasionally mention to my players that I'd like to play, but but none of
yeah.
them run things. So it's all right. One of these days I'm thinking about getting into a second edition Pathfinder game just because they're going to a second edition with Starfinder with the same rule set.
Right.
So I'd like to have a little bit of a leg up on running the game once it switches over. But we're
We
still just
I'm not really sure if we're gonna. I've got such long story arcs set up, and I guess it all comes down to whether players survive or characters survive, and
always, always.
and what the group wants to do, and we this last kind of we played a what were we playing? Oh, we were playing a Rifts game, which is kind of like a mission based game, and I would throw three or four missions up, and then they choose the one they want to go and do, and off they go, and they come back, and I
See what's next.
we kind of stopped that one, and then I threw like three ideas up, like we can do Pathfinder, Rise of the Rune Lords, or we can do like Wrath of the Righteous, which I've always wanted to run as a GM, and it's like a adventure path, and demons invade the Pathfinder world, Galarian
Oh,
or
nice.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're big ass heroes, and you're trying to save the world kind of deal, and then homebrew, and they picked Rise of the Rune Lords, which was great.
Nice.
So we'll just see, how far along they want to go and what's next after that. They
Right on.
they really drive what I run. So
I did that as well with my players with the last game I started my Attack of the Swarm game. I said these are the adventure paths I've got. Which ones are you guys interested in? Like,
Hmm.
I've got them all. Like, you've run these two already. I don't really want to do these two. One's a horror game that I don't think I do well, and one's a mystery intrigue game that I don't think I would run well. So don't choose those two. But whatever else you want.
Yeah.
And they say, yeah, okay, let's do this one. Let's do Attack of the Swarm. It's like an Aliens meets Starship Troopers meets weirdness towards the second half of the game that they're just getting to.
Nice.
I'm going to enjoy that part of the game because it goes from being your soldiers in an army dealing with invading bugs to your soldiers in an army going to get a mystic weapon created by a god that's going to help you invade the swarm's hive mind and fuck around with it from the inside before you come back to go and beat them up. So if my players ignore that last 10 seconds. But
No spoilers here.
yeah, no spoilers here. Not for
Yeah.
Attack of the Swarm. No, no. Well, it's been good catching up with you.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll have to chat again.
Yes.
I'll bug you when I'm running games. I'll say, hey, if you're interested.
Hmm.
You're probably
Yeah.
busy, but excellent. I've been enjoying doing this. I'm going to start trying to get in touch with some of the other guys that we used to know. I'll probably bug Seed House.
Hmm.
Do you ever talk to him? He's up in Kamloops.
No, actually, the only person that I have interacted, well, two actually, Wyatt and Derek a little bit, but
Mm.
the rest of them, no, I haven't talked to them in
They're
years.
they're about the only ones that I haven't talked to either.
Yeah,
Derek more than Wyatt.
yeah,
Um, and I haven't even talked to him for a few years. Not since he got his pilot's license, and I just whatever. People drift in and out of each other's lives. It's
he's
one of those
yeah,
things.
for sure. He looks like he's living a great life though. That
Oh my
some
God,
of the
he
pictures
does.
coming over his Facebook feed
That
are
and
amazing.
that's what
Yeah,
I've interacted with him about, saying, "Oh my
yeah,
God, these photos you're taking are amazing. These hikes,
yeah,
climbings, oh,
yeah.
just beautiful, beautiful stuff."
Hmm.
It's one of the few joys that I have found in the internet is as long as you can ignore the shit that comes with it, it's nice to be able to just see how your friends are doing and see how life has been
Exactly.
treating people and see what amazing things people have been up to.
Yeah,
And other than that, I try not to interact with people online if I don't have to,
that's a
because
good plan.
it's just a nightmare.
Hmm.
But but yeah, it's been good chatting with you. Thank
Right
you
on.
everybody for joining us. This video will be posted I'll probably do a double header next week because I've got my Hack Suite chat with my Attack of the Swarm players. So
Nice.
I'll drop this while they're chatting, and then I'll post theirs. But feel free to give the channel a follow, give the video a like, share it around with your friends. This has been the Northern BC Gamer. Have a good night, everybody.